Punk sucks. Disco's stupid. Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. Incidentally, I like both punk rock and disco, but that's another review, another topic, another video. Today I'm coming at you to review a movie that's been, it's funny because it's been a part of my life since probably I was 14 years old, but it's a movie that I've never really liked, and a movie that I probably haven't seen possibly since I was 14 or 15. I don't know if I saw it when I was in my 20s or not, but regardless, I'm coming at you to review Mother's Day, the original Mother's Day from 1980. I know there's been a Mother's Day that's come out recently, possibly in the 21st century. I don't know anything about what that's about, but I'm coming at you to review the 1980 Mother's Day. Basically produced by, I guess it's entities or people that were involved with Troma. I don't know if this is like officially a Troma movie, but I mean Troma, the little Troma logo was before the movie started, so I guess it's probably, for all intents and purposes, regarded as a Troma movie. And, you know, for the record, I'm not the biggest fan of Troma movies. I like the Toxic Avenger films, and that's pretty much it. You know, you gotta be in the right mood, in my opinion, for that kind of just nasty, just brainless, just kind of entertainment. And honestly, it was a little more geared towards teenagers and possibly 20-somethings, and now me getting on in years, pushing 50. It's just so weird to even say that. I still feel like a 14-year-old, but I guess the flesh ages, and if you're lucky, the mind stays young or whatever. But that's another video, another topic, in another situation. But yeah, I actually recently rewatched this at the time of me doing this review and probably uploading it. It was available, or it is available, or regardless. I saw it on Tubi for free, and I did a little research after the fact. This did come out on Blu-ray. There is obviously a high-definition version of it. The Blu-ray is I think it was Anchor Bay, I want to say, and is now out of print and going for a pretty penny, so it was really cool that I was able to see it, you know, the Blu-ray scan on Tubi for free, and, you know, commercials, and I mute the commercials when they appear and unmute it when they're over and stuff. So it was really kind of fun and part agony revisiting this movie. If in case you want to know my history with Mother's Day, a buddy of mine who actually just recently, the end of this summer, August thereabouts, recently we reconnected after not having seen each other for 15 years, and he's kind of become a part of the channel. Keith, he's the one who was a big fan of this back in, you know, when we were 14 years old, and he introduced me to it. And honestly, besides the fact of the more or less kind of scantily clad women that are featured in the movie, it's really not up my alley. It should be said that it looks like this movie is filmed in New Jersey, and I think there's even the very same road that was featured in the movie from the same year, Friday the 13th. I think they shoot the very same road that you can see the red Ford truck with Kevin Bacon and, you know, Jack, Marcy, and Ned driving on, except for the camera's on this side of the road, you know, on Friday the 13th, and you can see that same farm, like the lake and same farm and area, but in Mother's Day, the camera's on the opposite side of the road. And what's interesting in Mother's Day, that I think there's like lines painted in the road, and I'm pretty sure on Friday the 13th, I don't know, unless it was a camera angle or something, I don't think there were lines painted in the middle of the road. But I'm pretty sure that same shot, or that same area, the farm and that lake across the street, is in both Mother's Day and Friday the 13th, just as a road to show people driving or whatever. But for those of you who may not have seen this film and don't know what it's about, it's basically about kind of this is kind of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspired movie, part Texas Chainsaw Massacre, part Rituals. If anyone's seen Rituals, it's about a bunch of doctors that every year someone, you know, a group of doctors or whatever, or friends, you know, they pick, someone gets to pick the 1 year reunion vacation. And, you know, in the case of Rituals, the guy wanted to go out in the wilderness and not die, but they ended up dying. But he wanted to go out in the wilderness that year, so they went out in the wilderness. In this case, it's a movie about three, I guess, college friends that 10 years later, so they're probably in their early 30s when this movie, you know, the girls are probably in their early 30s when this movie happens. And, you know, I guess from what I understand from dialogue, they do this every year. There's three of them, alternate every year. Someone decides what they're all going to do, and so every third year you get to decide what the group is going to do. Obviously, this time someone decided to go out and camp in the New Jersey woods or whatever and just live it up and sit around the fire and scantily clad stuff, which is fun and stuff. But another aspect of this movie, of course, is what the movie's all about. Is there's like this very Texas Chainsaw inspired family kind of mother, the mom and the two sons. One of these guys is this guy, and one of these guys is that guy. And I did see this. That made a lot of sense. I do remember seeing this video cassette in the video stores and really liking the cover art. This is back in the day, as I've said so many times, when they paint wonderful poster art for these movies, and the cover art really looked cool, and the one guy in his really goofy mask, which he doesn't really wear that much, which is kind of a bummer. But I remember thinking as a teenager, like, ooh, this looked cool, but I don't think I ever rented it myself. I wouldn't end up seeing it until Keith showed it to me. And it's funny how when I just revisited it after not having seen it for who knows how the hell long, possibly 15, 20 years or more, I don't know. It's so funny how much I remembered, though, about it. But basically the movie opens with just some, the mother character is at some kind of, I don't know if it's one of these fads from the early 80s, like the I'm okay, you're okay. I don't even know what the hell this meeting is. It's probably a parody of those kind of meetings or whatever, but it's like, look to the person next to you and say, whatever, oh, I love you, we're all in it together, and give you a smooch, whatever the hell they say or whatever. But I think they're kind of making fun of that era of, just whatever the fuck they're doing in this movie. I'm okay, you're okay, whatever. Kind of just, uplifting group. It's like an AA meeting without the AA, or maybe it is an AA meeting. I don't know what the hell it is, but basically, the mother character ends up meeting these two shady individuals who she's like giving a ride at the very beginning, and they turned out to be shady, and they're gonna like rob her, and I don't know if they plan on killing her, probably just robbing her or whatever. But luckily, her two sons intervene and kill these two, which is really kind of fun. And what's funny is I was watching it, and there's this shot of the fake guy's head, and he's about to be swatted, and they cut to someone where the blood's already, I think it might be Mother or something, the blood's already like splatting on her, and then before he's even cut, then they cut back to his head being cut off. So it was kind of funny. I'm kind of an editor by just a natural born editor, and I just saw that, the blood's splatting on her before his head's even cut off. That's funny. But yeah, the opening scene's kind of cool because it's like these shady people who think they can get the drop on Mother, and it's kind of cool to see the drop being gotten on them, so to speak, or whatever. The beginning's kind of cool, and then it cuts to the opening credits are really cool because it shows like the three girls are like looking at slides of college years or whatever, and this and that while the credits are going on. So the opening credits are, it's a competent movie. It's probably, it's not full-on freaking Troma craze. Like, the aspects of, like, the family and the two brothers and stuff, and some of the nastiness that goes on and some of the gore. It's I wouldn't call it, like, if you're familiar with Toxic Avenger movies or Troma movies, I wouldn't even say it necessarily plays like a Troma movie. The Troma-ness is very toned down, so it's mostly kind of just a conventional kind of low-budget horror movie from 1980 with Troma-esque aspects. So me not being the hugest Troma fan, I appreciated the toned-down aspect of, how it's not completely full-out Troma, just nonsense, where the acting, a lot of the acting with these three women when the shit hits the fan is really good, and when they discover their friend is dead, like just, really good acting. So it's basically a normal movie made by some of the people involved with what would go on to become Troma. Maybe this is like before Troma. I don't know if Troma didn't happen until more like the mid '80s or '82 or '83, '84. I don't know, but maybe Troma was officially born with Toxic Avenger. I'm not 100% sure, but so it's not a complete just off the wall crazy Troma movie. Like when you're dealing with the three main characters, like the 30-something girls, it's they don't act all crazy. It's like decent acting, decent writing. It's only like the mother and the two boys that are the goofy aspect. But so the trio of these girls, it's fun to see them kind of all come together. One's like a Hollywood star, and one of them's, I don't know. So it's like that from all like West Coast. I want to say maybe someone's in Chicago possibly, and someone's in New York. So they all get together in New York for this little camping, escapade or whatever. And I the thing that I probably would have appreciated most about this movie when I was 14 is obviously it's funny how you can be 14 and see like 30 something women, but you don't think of them as like necessarily being old. They're young enough where even in 14-year-old eyes, like they're still young enough where they're cute and hot and stuff. Incidentally, I think the one with the glasses is the most attractive girl in this movie, and the blonde. I was never the biggest, fan of blondes necessarily, so I think the girl with the glasses is the most attractive, and then the girl who ends up dying is probably the second most attractive, and then the blonde being the third, in case you wanted to know my ranking of the women in this movie. But yeah, it's funny how, you think I should really like a movie like this because it's like out and filmed in the summer, right around probably where they filmed the original Friday the 13th in New Jersey, and really, pretty just forest scenery. But I guess, even though a lot of it's in the forest and the woods and stuff, like, I don't know, I feel like the movie's too focused on the characters to really even care about the environment. So even though the characters are in like the environment, I just feel like the movie's too focused on what's going on with the characters, be it the women or the crazy family, to really even care about the beautiful environment it's being filmed in and taking place in. That's kind of my thought about that, even though it's shot in a really, beautiful location, probably very close to where they filmed Friday the 13th. But I would imagine this house that's like the crazy family house is probably some dilapidated house they were just able to film in before they tore it down or something like that. I don't like the antics between the brother, and there's some nasty stuff with just, I don't know, I've got weird eccentricities and things that gross me out, like, putting the Drano in the guy's mouth and seeing just drool come out of his mouth, and then when she puts the TV on his head, I covered my eyes, I didn't watch it, I didn't look at it this time because I remember, but when he's got the Drano and blood coming out of his mouth and the TV's on his head and the screen's right here, it's like I remember from seeing it decades ago, just the nasty drool, Drano, blood splatter on the, rubbing off on the inside of the TV screen, and it's just like, that kind of stuff just really grosses me out. So this time when I watched it, I knew it was coming, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll just kind of just cover that part of the screen until that scene's over. But honestly, this is kind of like it's like a mix mash of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last House on the Left, and Rituals. And honestly, I can't remember when it is. If it's like an hour, it's probably even before an hour. Maybe it's like halfway through the movie, possibly, where the girls are caught and they're unknowingly you're camping next very close proximity to the crazy family, so the brothers end up catching them and dragging, instead of just dragging one girl home like Sally in the original Chainsaw, they drag all three girls home and tie them up upstairs, and they kind of, it looks like their plan is to do stuff with each one at a time, and they have fun with one of the girls, and she ends up dying later on. They escape, drag her out in the woods, and she ends up dying out in the woods. But honestly, the thing I really don't like about this movie is just because I can't remember if there's rape in it. I don't think there's rape, but just the the majority, like the last half of it, is just these three girls, and it turns into being two girls being tormented by the family and these brothers and stuff. And it's just like not enjoyable to watch. Like for some reason, I don't have a problem watching the Chainsaw family, tie Sally down to the armchair and torment her, but I guess just the way this movie's done, it's just not something that's enjoyable. It could be a credit to the makers of the movie, not to say that Texas Chainsaw is a slouch or anything like that. I mean, I regard that as one of the greatest American horror movies ever made, or just greatest American movies ever made. But yeah, it's so funny how seeing Mother's Day after all these years, decades possibly, it's like I have the exact same feeling about it, where it just doesn't, I just don't really like it in general. And it's really weird, because a lot of times I'll like things as a teenager and won't like them as an adult, or vice versa. I don't know if there's anything that I didn't like as a teenager and like now, but yeah, well, I mean, one thing I know for sure is I've said so many times that I just thought like Halloween 2 was the best thing in the world when I was 12, and cut to 10 years later, I'm just like, oh my God, that really isn't that great. I mean, I love Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, but it's like nothing compared to what I thought it was when I was 12. But So maybe that's the gist of this movie. I don't have to do a beat by beat or give everything away, but honestly, or I mean, obviously, I can't even remember what I would imagine. They end up killing, mother and the two brothers and escaping. And throughout the course of the movie, the mother character is always talking, maybe a couple times, about this. Is it her crazy, like, deranged sister or something? I can't even shit. I had the name in my head and it just escapes me. Is it Queenie? It might be Queenie, who's living out in the woods or whatever. If it's not Queenie, it's something like Queenie. Forgive me if it's not Queenie, but they kind of, she mentions that character a couple times throughout the course of the movie, and I can remember the very end, back when Keith showed me, the girls. I think they kill mother and the two brothers, and the two girls escape, and at night, only to be like, hear the sound coming out of the bushes, and wow, like Queenie. Is it Queenie? If it's not Queenie, it's something like Queenie, jumping out of the woods in kind of a very Fredel and Ray, it reminds you of Scalps, then they freeze frame on this, this apparition just jumping out of the bushes, and like go, post-production, just like go into the frame, and it gets all blurry and grainy and you can't see it for shit. But another thing that's funny about this movie, same year as Friday the 13th, anyone who knows Friday the 13th knows that, it's the famous, like, kill after kills, it'll fade to white and then fade back into the movie and stuff. This one, same year, does the same thing, except for it fades to yellow, which I thought was kind of gross. It fades to urine, and it's just like that. So instead of fading to white and fading back into the movie, it fades to yellow and back into the movie, which is like a very, very subtle thing that I just find disgusting in a weird way. I don't know why I think of urine. I guess one could think of other things like freaking mustard, or whatever, Dick Tracy, coat and hat, or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something nasty about fading to yellow, like just like in true Lloyd Kaufman, or Troma fashion, we can't fade to black, we can't fade to white, we have to fade to yellow. But my star rating for this movie, yeah, I can't. I'll go 1.5 stars out of 4 stars for Mother's Day, just because, it's like I said, testament to the filmmakers, possibly, that's so unsettling when the girls are caught and being tortured and just, harassed for the last half of this movie. And for me, it's not enjoyable. The antics between the crazy family, the mother and the brothers, I don't find entertaining at all. So the star rating is obviously a reflection of how I feel about the movie. It's a shame. I'd like to like the movie because it has elements that, scantily clad women and New Jersey in the summer, and green, woods and stuff, and they the girls, before they get kidnapped or caught, they're sitting around a campfire, and there's some skinny dipping, and it's got a lot of elements that I generally like, and I do like those elements in the movie. But it's just, not enough of them elements, and too much of the just goofball antics and certain elements that I'm not crazy about, unfortunately. So I guess that'll be my review of Mother's Day. Please feel free to let me know what you think of this movie in the comments. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Have you not seen it? Do you want to see it now because of my review? Do you not want to see it because of my review? What are your thoughts on Mother's Day? It's a movie that, once again, part of me wants to like. But, given the fact that I've never liked it, and all these years later, having seen it again, I still don't like it. I don't expect that I'll ever like it, but that's absolutely fine. There's a whole plethora of movies that I do like and enjoy, so I guess life goes on. So thank you very much for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.